This is BBC News. Welcome if you're watching here in the UK or around the world. I'm Maryam Moshiri with the latest on the conflict in Ukraine. Many are feared dead and thousands without water or power supplies. Residents of the city of Mariupol come under a relentless barrage of Russian shelling and rocket attacks. Officials there say the Russians are using siege tactics. Kherson in the south has fallen, the first major city to be taken under control of Russian forces. Explosions in the residential streets of northern Ukraine, but President Zelensky says the invaders will not win.
We will restore every house, every street, every city, and we say to Russia, learn the word of reparations and contributions. You will reimburse us for everything you did against our state, against every Ukrainian in full.
Vladimir Putin says Russia will successfully demilitarize Ukraine and render it neutral status, but NATO hits back.
If Russia attacks NATO territory, NATO will act.
Russia faces war crimes investigations after they were accused of bombing civilians in Ukraine. A humanitarian catastrophe. The United Nations says more than 1 million people have now fled Ukraine. Hello and welcome. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has addressed President Putin directly in a new video clip, saying Russia will pay Ukraine back fully for what it's done against the state. But Moscow remains defiant. The Kremlin said this morning that Russian ambitions would be achieved in any case. Well, after more rocket attacks in the north, south and east, this is the current situation in Ukraine. These areas in red are largely controlled by Russian forces. Kiev remains under Ukrainian control, but the port of Kherson has now been taken by the Russians. The southeastern city of Mariupol is under intense pressure, with the mayor reporting that Russian forces are systematically and methodically trying to blockade the city. People trapped there have no running water and no power, and after a night of shelling, hundreds are feared dead. Well, there were major blasts in Kiev overnight. Ukraine officials say they were caused by air defence systems striking down Russian missiles. There was heavy shelling in the country's second city, Kharkiv, and the town of Chernihiv remains in Ukrainian control despite a heavy bombardment. Well, US and UK sources say the huge Russian convoy that's around 30 kilometres from the heart of Kiev is still held up by local resistance and mechanical problems and congestion. Well, the UN says 1 million refugees have now left Ukraine since the Russian invasion began. An investigation into possible war crimes in Ukraine has begun by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. And the International Paralympic Committee has said Russian and Belarusian athletes will be banned from the Winter Paralympics that start in Beijing on Friday. Well, in the last few minutes, we've got news that the new round of talks has begun between Russian and Ukraine officials. Sancha Berg has the very latest.